What if I told you that there was one thing that no one talks about which makes just as much difference to your wealth as what you earn, where your family were born, and how much you save? What if I also told you that you can increase your chance of getting more of this?
I still don't get it.
It's your key to understanding money.
Maybe you want to give up work entirely.
It's just money.
Hi, my name is George and I'm a chartered financial planner. And let me tell you a story about wealth that might shock you. This is the absolutely true story of Fred Smith. He was the CEO of FedEx. You probably recognize them as that American company from the ads. Anyway, look, this is a sizable company and it delivers about 1.2 billion packages a year in 42 countries. Anyway, FedEx was initially funded by a $4 million inheritance and about 80 million in debt and equity investments. And it quickly grew from an 8-plane operation to a logistics network spanning continental US. However, the company really struggled to keep pace with rising fuel costs, and it resorted to extreme measures such as pilots using personal credit cards for fuel to stay afloat, while being suffocated by its own debt. Okay, so anyway, back to Fred Smith. He was the CEO in the early days. FedEx had fallen on really hard times, and in 1973, FedEx had about $5,000 left in the bank. After a failed pitch to save the company, Smith did the only thing he could think of. He took a trip to Las Vegas and put it all on a hand of blackjack. Now let's just imagine that, sat there with the blackjack table up to your eyes in debt, breathing the smoky air of the table, forehead dripping with sweat as you place you and your company's future on a hand at the table. Your eyes glued to the movements of the cards as everyone around you is enjoying themselves in Sin City. This does not sound like a happy ending to a great business story. But guess what? He won. 24 hours later and $27,000 later, Fred wired all the funds back to FedEx bank account, and they were able to keep the lights on for another week, and the company survived. In an essay published by Forbes, Smith wrote, "No business school graduate would recommend gambling as a financial strategy, but sometimes it needs to be a little bit crazy early in your career." So hold on, have I just suggested you should gamble your future? No, that's an extreme example, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to highlight that despite the size of the companies we know today, these type of events happen time and time again. Tesla, now the world's most valuable automaker, was a month away from bankruptcy. Apple nearly went under. Look, there is a money secret that no one likes to talk about. Luck. And I think social media makes this worse, and if you're like me, you find yourself randomly scrolling at the end of the day, not realizing that your feeds are filled with people who, through perhaps birth, chance, or some hard work sometimes, are the byproduct of an enormous amount of luck. And it's far easier to attribute our successes to hard work and grit, and yet our failures to unforeseeable events in the markets or an unjust turn of fate. So hear me out. Look, I know that saying luck is a money secret may seem a strange thing to mention on a personal finance channel, but I think understanding the impact of luck on our financial future is huge, because those who've been hugely successful probably aren't telling you as much as they should about how much luck has an impact on where they are. But what if I actually told you that there is a way that you could structure your life and your financial decisions so that you became luckier? Wouldn't that be a huge edge? Okay, in 1978, Dr. James Austin wrote Chase, Chance and Creativity, The Lucky Art of Novelty. In his book, the neurologist explains that the role of luck, chance and serendipity in medical research, and he outlines what we know today as the 4 kinds of luck. And this is also replayed in a very similar way in one of my favourite books, which is The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, which I would recommend everyone read because it's, in my view, it's probably the best self-help book of the digital age. So what are the different types of luck, and how can we use this to our advantage? To manufacture luck, perhaps? Okay, so let's go through the first type of luck. This is blind luck. So picture a miracle, an act of God, or winning the lottery. All of these events that arrive entirely out of the blue. Look, there's something to celebrate, but they're definitely not a moment to count on. And because you can't really do anything to improve your chance of blind luck, I'm just going to skip it entirely. So number 2 is luck from motion. And James Austin says in the book that chance too favours those who have persistent curiosity about many things, coupled with an energetic willingness to experiment and explore. So this second kind of luck comes from constant action. This is something that I try and think about myself as much as I can. Basically, look, the more stuff you create, the more people you meet with, whether it's prospective clients, networking, putting yourself out there, it's not that you get less rejection, chances are you probably get more, but your actions are increasing the surface area of your luck. You know, Naval Ravikant writes it in his blog, he says that this luck comes through persistence, hard work, hustle, and motion. Whether you're just running around creating lots of opportunities, you're generating lots of energy, you're doing lots of things, and lots of things just get stirred up in the dust. So quick story, when I started this channel, before people were really kind of watching it, the first couple of people I got in contact with were just other content creators, and they were within the profession. So people that I sort of looked up to at the time, like Pete Matthews from Meaningful Money, or Andy Hart from Maven Advisor. Anyway, through that, I was then on their podcast, and that introduced me to various other people in the profession. And before you know it, frankly, the kind of unintended consequence is that it really strengthened my professional network a great deal. And this led to luck in so many other areas. And all of that was really without ever intending to do so. It was just kind of luck from motion of what I did. So number 3 is luck in preparation. The quote from the book is, "This favours those who have sufficient background of sound knowledge plus special abilities in observing, remembering and recalling and quickly forming significant new associations." So Naval calls this specific knowledge in your field, and basically says that, look, if you're very skilled in a field, you'll notice when a lucky break happens in that field, when other people who aren't quite as attuned to it won't notice. So you become sensitive to luck, and it's through that skill, knowledge and work. It's sort of like being in the right place at the right time, or trying to position yourself in the field where you're more likely to be lucky. So Alex Hormozian, $100 million Offers, talks about being in an expanding market. But the way I try and think about this is trying to align yourself with secular trends. Look, at the end of the day, you could be the world's greatest print journalist. But if that's in decline for years and years and years, it's just very difficult to be successful in that industry. In the same way that getting into video rental when Netflix and streaming was taking off is going to be really difficult as well. And look, I say this, whose family was from the north, who going back generations were miners, so it's not just being flippant. I'm just saying that you don't want to be on the wrong side of a declining market, because at the end of the day, someone with average talent in an expanding market will probably have a lot more luck than someone with exceptional talent in a heavily declining one. So how can we use this practically? Well, I try and think about, it's not just about the kind of the sexiest stuff like AI, but what do we have a degree of confidence is going to be a big market going forward we can try and align ourselves to? And there's so many of those like that where you can see in advance certain areas that are going to be big. Okay, the next one is luck unique to you. And James Austin says, chance 4 favours those with distinctive, if not eccentric, hobbies, personal lifestyles or motor behaviours. And this, I think, is about when you edge closer and closer to expert status, you kind of make a name for yourself because of how you operate. So Daniel Priestley talks about this in Key Person of Influence. And this is where you kind of build a reputation, which is like a magnet for opportunity. All right, here's kind of how I try and think about this as far as trying to create your own luck. Now, look, maybe it's useful to you, maybe it's not, but it's something that I found useful as a mental model, and it's kind of a bit of a hybrid of Naval's book, Carl Newport's So Good They Can't Ignore You, and Mastery by Robert Greene, with a bit sprinkled in from Alex Hormozi. So let me show you that. So understanding what your unique traits are. And this perhaps is something that's always come easy to you. This could be perhaps skills like communication, problem solving, maths, or spotting opportunities. We all sort of have an indication about where our skills lie. And the aim is you're looking for your 1 in 10 ability, or better yet, your 1 in 100 ability. As in, if there were 100 people in a room, could you say with confidence that you would be in the top 10% or better? And the reason for that could be because you already built these skills. So there could be barriers to entry to the skills. So maybe you're a doctor, or in my case, a financial advisor. And you know you're in the top percentile just by the nature of the hours that you put in to get there. Now, what we want to try and do is overlap those circles of competency, which will make it harder and harder for someone else to compete in that specific domain. So here's an example. Look, when I was speaking with a younger aspiring advisor, we were talking about the things that are unique to them. And the big thing for them is that they knew loads of people, had a family connection with people in farming and agriculture. And my point to them was, okay, look, I have no idea whether that's a good market to target or not. But if you overlay your qualifications with the fact that you probably know more about these individual communities, these people's problems, and then if you can overlay some sort of communication strategy, maybe even social media, you could potentially position yourself as an expert in that particular niche. You will have the chance of creating luck unique to you, which will be really difficult for other people to compete with because they just don't have the life experience to compete with you in an authentic way. But do you know what the biggest thing I think is about acknowledging the impact of luck? It's about how it helps you avoid overconfidence. If you think about it, if you're watching this video, the luck you've had has been based on where you've been born, your freedom to consume, whatever content you want. And Michael Lewis, a guy who wrote Moneyball, he did this great commencement speech to Princeton University. And he kind of summarizes this with, above all, recognize that if you've had success, you've also had luck. And with luck comes obligation. You owe a debt not just to your gods, you owe a debt to the unlucky. Thanks for watching. See you next time.